Hi everyone, my name is Asha Creary and I am a licensed professional counselor in the state of Texas, and I am a licensed professional counselor supervisor in the state of Missouri. And in today's episode of Post-Grad with Asha, we're going to talk about what do you do leading up to graduation and what do you do when you actually graduate. So, yay, we're in the last semester, or you might have already graduated. Yay, you did it. And you might not know what's next after you do it, right? But that's what this is for. So the first thing you're going to do, hopefully you may have caught this video before graduation, but you're going to want to ask various questions, connect with various professors, and save the right amount of money. So I'll get into those three things. First thing you want to focus on is saving money. Okay? The licensing exam is not cheap. It is not cheap. It's $275 as of right now. The jurisprudence exam is $40. And depending on your state, well, if you're in Texas, I'm going to use Texas, the licensing application, I believe, is $110. So that's already close to $600-700, right? So you want to make sure you have some money saved up. Then you're also going to have to pay for a supervisor. Some programs got into this and others did not. So when you graduate, you're going to have to get a supervisor. A lot of times it's going to be a paid supervisor if you're paying to get what you need out of supervision. Now, you can always find a job that offers free supervision, but if you leave that job, you might have to find a new supervisor. Or if that supervisor is not that great, you may want to find an outside supervisor, so you may need to have money set aside for that. So you're going to have money set aside for the exam, the jurisprudence, the supervisor or the LPC associate application, fingerprinting, and you're going to have money set aside for clinical supervision. So that's what you need money for. And again, there's going to be another video on how much you're paying your supervisor and what that looks like. Now, I will say the average supervisor here in the state of Texas is going anywhere from $300 to $500 a month. I have seen supervision go down to like $250, and I've seen it go up so far as to $750 if you have an LPC supervisor that is providing dual supervision for other types of additional certifications. So have money set aside. The next thing you're going to do is build relationships while you're on campus. Some of your professors could potentially be your licensed professional counselor supervisor. Now, some of them have their own private practices and they're teaching part-time. Some of them don't. Some of them work for companies and they have upcoming openings. Some of them just do supervision. And then you have a situation where some don't, but they may have access to someone who can, right? They may have a friend who's a supervisor. They may know of a location, a site, all the things in between. So be sure to get to know your professors. You won't know if they offer supervision if you don't ask, or if they didn't say it, right? But if they're a really good professor and you like them and they like you, why wouldn't it make a great professor? Especially if it's a professor why wouldn't it make a great supervisor? Especially if he or she is going to push you into being a great clinician. You already know that your experience with them will hopefully be just as great as it was in the university. So make note of that. The next thing you're going to do is ask questions. There's 4 main questions you want to ask. The first question you're going to ask is, who or when can I take my national counselor exam? What are the requirements? Have I met them? That's important because you can do all of the things necessary to graduate, but still not do all the things necessary to be eligible to register for the licensed professional counselor exam, or national counselor exam, nor will you have possibly met all of the requirements necessary to submit to the licensing board. So you want to make sure you ask all those questions. Yeah, you might graduate, but you may not have had everything completed. Be sure to get those things completed so that it doesn't create hiccups for you later. Create a checklist, talk to an advisor. If they have a university clerk that typically supports students with the post-graduation process, talk to that person. And talk to your practicum or internship professors about it. Like, ask questions every semester if you're in practicum or if you are in internship. So what are the requirements and have I met them? Depending on where you are leading up to graduation, if you're in the semester before, 6 weeks leading up to graduation, you want to know, okay, what else do I need to do to make sure that I don't have to come back chasing you guys down for anything to be done? The next thing is, can I take my exam before graduation or after graduation? Now, There are pros and cons to both, right? If you take it while you're still in school, you got it out the way. The exam's more, but you still have to wait for your official scores at least 8 weeks after graduation, up to 8 weeks. If you wait, you have to wait 6 to 8 weeks to even be eligible to register for the exam, but you get your scores right then and the test is cheaper. So, depends on your program. Most K-Prep accredited programs allow for you to take the exam before graduation. Some programs make you wait. Just depends. Neither is really bad, but one kind of allows you to get some of it out the way before you graduate. Now, what I'm not clear on is if they give you unofficial scores if you take it before you graduate or not. Because I know it takes up to 8 weeks after graduation for them to give you an official scorecard, but not really sure. They haven't made it clear on that if there is going to be an unofficial score you're given. That way you know whether or not you pass in that moment, right? But if you wait until after graduation, you're going to know for sure that you passed that test. So, the next thing you're going to want to know is, when will grades be submitted and finalized for your last semester? Some programs, they do it almost immediately. The professors are like, give me everything ahead of time so I can submit grades so that they can err on your transcript by Monday morning, whatever your program says, right? Other programs, they kind of wait, right? Just because sometimes internship, the course for internship or practicum, sometimes them getting all your documentation takes them some time. So sometimes it takes them a little longer to post your grades. So you're going to want to ask your professors in your last semester, specifically, when are you going to post my grades? The reason that question is important is because it will slow down your degree conferral. So getting your degree conferred just basically means that your university approves, signs, stamps that you have completed all of your necessary requirements to graduate this university. Yay, you did it. We said you did it. Okay, cool. So that's important. Again, you want to save some money for the reasons discussed before. You want to get to know your professors. You also want to know when you can take the exam, whether it's during the program or after the program, and you decide what works best for you. And then you want to know, when will your degree be conferred? Your degree conferral is so important because it slows down your ability to register for your exam. Okay, so that's what you do before you graduate. Now, after you graduate, so I've graduated, I've gotten my degree, it has been conferred. No, let's take that back. So I've graduated and I am waiting on my degree to be conferred. There are several things you need to do while you're waiting on your degree. The first thing you're going to want to do is study. Create a plan of study or an action plan to study and begin studying. The next thing you're going to want to do is find a supervisor. Create a list of supervisors. Download it from the licensing board website, and I'll show you guys a different video on how to do that. But find a supervisor, a set of supervisors, actually. Find a set of supervisors. Once you find a set of supervisors, interview them. Again, you're going to do all of this while you're in the process of studying for your exam. And I will explain why it's important to do it this way versus to wait. So the reason you don't want to wait, and again, you might can start this process before graduation as well, but because you'll have professors that you will have asked questions to, right? So you want to do it before you take the test for several reasons. The first reason is that there's a wait list oftentimes when you're looking for really good licensed professional counselor supervisors. There's an influx of clinicians. Psychotherapy wasn't always a go into career field. So you have clinicians that are retiring, and then you have clinicians that got stuck in that weird phase when the licensing board said, well, you have to have 5 years of experience with your full unrestricted license before you can provide supervision. It went from 2 years to 5 years. So you have a group of us that are stuck in that. And then you have a bunch of new clinicians coming out. So there's really, the list may show that there's a lot of supervisors available, but the number of them providing supervision, they may be retired, they may not even be practicing anymore. But then there's also the thing of, if they're really good, even if they're on that list, they may not be available. They may have capped out. They may say, I only work with 10 supervisees at any given time, or associates at any given time. So you want to get ahead of the curve. You want to get on somebody's radar. You want to have interviewed these people, these supervisors, and you want to have had to taken out the time to get to know them and get on their radar. It is going to make your process so much easier the day you pass that test. So you are going to, again, study in lieu of studying at the same time, conjunctively, if that's a word, right? At the same time, you're going to make sure that you are scouting supervisors and interviewing supervisors. And you want to have it narrowed down to 1 or 2 that you are sure that you're going to go through. And you're going to know this because you will have interviewed several of them. You would have found one that was good for fit, and you will have found one that's equally as interested in being your supervisor. Now, this is happening while you're waiting on your approval to actually take your test. So you've gotten your degree conferred. They've said you've met all of your requirements. Then you've submitted the application to the NCE. I skipped that part earlier, but once you get your degree, you're going to get on the website and submit the application to be eligible, which takes another, again, 6 to 8 weeks. So in that 6 to 8 weeks, while you're waiting on them to say, yes, we're going to approve that you can take this test, we've read over all of your application materials, and we agree that you are ready to take this exam. Once they say yes, you're good to go. But again, in that waiting period between when you've submitted that application and when you've taken or when they've approved you to actually take the exam, is going to be anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. So I'll backtrack just a little bit. When you graduate, the degree conferral could take up to 6 to 8 weeks. Again, depends on your program. It could be 4 to 8. It could be 2 to 4, whatever. But there's a slight waiting period there. Only then, once you have your designated transcript that says your degree has been conferred, can you apply to take the test. That doesn't mean you're going to get to take the test when you apply. That means that they're going to look at all of your application materials that you submitted, your transcript. They're going to look at all of that. Then you have to wait from the day you submit that up until you can actually register. So that's 6 to 8 weeks. So 6 to 8 weeks potentially, and another 6 to 8 weeks potentially. So anywhere from 0 to 12 weeks, you're going to be waiting to actually take that test. Now, the day they tell you can take that test, you can register for it for the very next day if you want to. But the good thing about it is you will have studied the first 6 weeks and the second 6 weeks, and you will have potentially found a supervisor. So you're going to want to make sure you're doing these things at the same time, because it is going to help the next set of waiting period that you have after that, before you can even start accruing your LPC associate hours. Okay, so let's get into that. So you've graduated, you've registered, or you've submitted your application for the exam, you've been studying, you've interviewed and found 1 or 2 supervisors, and you've now registered for your test. So you scheduled the test. Today's test day. Things you want to have prepared for a test day. 1, you want to be ready. You want to make sure you actually studied those 12 weeks that you had to wait. The next thing you're going to want to do is make sure you have an appointment set up with those supervisors you were interested in. The reason that's important is because it slows down your wait time. Again, if you found 1 or 2 that's interested in moving forward with you, you can schedule a 15-minute call the day you intend to take the test. So what I mean by that is, if you take the test at 9 a.m., you're going to want to make sure that you're meeting with that supervisor at 2 p.m. that same day. The reason being is because if you pass that test, you need to be moving forward the same day, because the next set of waiting period is contingent upon you submitting everything you need to submit. So meet with your supervisor. So when you take your test, you're going to come out and they're going to have this nice little piece of paper folded, ready to hand to you. You're going to get it. It's going to say pass. On your way out the door, you want to be on the phone. Hey, are we still meeting today at 2 o'clock? I passed my test. I'm looking forward to continuing the process. If you are still ready for me to be a supervisee or an associate underneath supervision of you, right? They say, yeah, we can still meet. You passed. I honored that. I said I would be willing to move forward with you. Cool. So you want to meet with them the same day if you can. If not, the next day or within a week. Do not wait past that, because again, it is extending your ability to be eligible to accrue hours. And time is money, i.e. it's keeping you from making more money. Okay. You're going to meet with them. They're going to do all your paperwork. They're going to say, I agree to be your supervisor. You're going to sign your supervisee agreement with them, and they are going to support you. Oh, let me backtrack. I forgot, you have to be finding a site at the same time of you interviewing if you don't already have a job that allows you to accrue hours at your actual job. So while you're finding your supervisor and interviewing them, you're going to also want to be on the job hunt. Okay, back to this. So after you get all that paperwork signed, the same day, again, you're going to make sure that you take your jurisprudence exam, which is $40. And again, you've already saved for it, so you're good to go. $40. You may have to pay a deposit. Some supervisors ask for it, others don't. Some just wait until your application actually comes back. But if they ask for one, it doesn't hurt to give them one, just because it allows for you to not have to pay the first month because you already gave them the deposit for the first month. Okay. Then you're going to want to schedule your fingerprints. You're going to do all of this in the same day. So you take the test at 9, you come out about 1 or 2 o'clock, however long it takes you to finish your exam. You're meeting with that supervisor by 2:33. After you meet with that supervisor and get all that paperwork signed, you're going to take the jurisprudence at 4 o'clock. The jurisprudence shouldn't take you more than 2 hours to do. It's, I think, 40 questions, and it's no fail. It's an ethics exam, so don't worry, you're going to pass it. It's not like the NCE. Then you're going to sign up to do your fingerprints. Again, you're going to do all of this the same day. Now, you're not going to get your fingerprints done the same day, but you're going to sign up to get them done either the next day or the day after that. So you're going to submit everything else the same day as well. So you will have gotten your paperwork signed by your supervisor. You will have passed your exam, and you will have completed the jurisprudence exam, and you have your transcript ready to go. And now all you have to do is upload everything into the licensing portal, and the only thing that they're going to be waiting on is your fingerprints. So I know this was a lot, but hopefully it helps. Again, in the beginning, before you graduate, you want to get to know your professors, you want to have money saved up, and you want to ask questions. After that, during your waiting period, you're going to wait for your degree to be conferred. You should be studying. While you're waiting on your degree to be conferred, once it's conferred, you're going to submit your application to the National Board for Professional or for Certified Counselors to take your exam. They're going to review everything, which takes about 6 to 8 weeks, maybe longer, depending. And from there, you're going to be looking for a supervisor. You're going to be studying, you're going to be interviewing supervisors, you're going to have your supervisors narrowed down, and you're going to be looking for a job. Again, you cannot submit your application to the licensing board if you do not have a site. So if you found a supervisor who has a private practice, they may list their private practice for your site while you're looking for a job. This is going to help you because most companies won't hire you as an LPC associate until you have that LPC associate license number. They're not going to wait on it. I'm not sure why companies do that. I think I know why, but I won't get into that. So most companies won't do it right now while you don't have that license number because they can't bill insurance for you. So they're not going to hire you contingent upon getting that license back. But if you have a supervisor who has a private practice, they may be willing to list their company as your site while you're waiting on the application to come back. So you've done all the things. You've taken your test. You've found a supervisor. You've narrowed it down. All the things. So now you just wait. After you submit everything to the licensing board, there is probably going to be another 4 to maybe 18-week wait, depending on how the licensing board is moving and depending on when you submit. So while you're in that waiting period, you literally have nothing else to do except for work on your counseling skills, grow, figure out what your ideal client is going to be like, maybe even consult with your supervisor here and there. You can't accrue those hours, but you may have questions that you have for them. Then once you finish that, you are good to go. Once the licensing board says, okay, all of these things have been met, we approve you for your LPC associate license, you can now move forward. So, in all of that said, this process can take anywhere from 2 months at minimum to anywhere from 9 months. When I finished the licensing board process back in 2017, or when I submitted my application, graduated, all the things, it took them 9 months before they approved my LPC associate license. So this is why I'm saying do it in order and always be ready for the next step, because the longer it takes you, the longer it takes for them to approve it, and the longer it takes for you to start making more money, and the longer it takes for you to get your full license. Okay, so I know it's a lot. Again, hopefully it was helpful. Hopefully you got something from it. But again, thank you so much for watching this video. Feel free to like, subscribe, share. I'm going to be posting more videos about the licensing process, what to do, how to find a supervisor, and different things like that as we continue growing this YouTube page. So thanks again. And it is Asha Creary, licensed professional counselor here in the state of Texas and licensed professional counselor supervisor in the state of Missouri. And you got it.